o'clock, shall we stand for pledge allegiance? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, welcome everyone. I ask that any visitors who wish to address council tonight, please speak up and state your name as this meeting is being recorded. And council, I ask you again, just as you speak, to speak up so the microphone can pick us up. Roll call, please.
Hoppy. Here. Poland. Here. Khan.
Here.
Shoemaker.
Here.
Vaughn.
Here.
Hofstadter.
Here.
Thank you, good evening. Do we have any visitors who wish to address council this evening? May we have a motion to suspend the reading of the minutes?
Second.
Poland. Hofstadter.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Khan. Shoemaker.
Aye.
Hoppy. Aye.
Thank you. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? May I have a motion to pass?
So move on.
Second. Hoppy. Vaughn.
Aye.
Hoppy. Aye. Poland.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Hofstadter.
Aye.
Thank you. Bill resolution 2021-24. Are there any questions on the bills this evening? May I have a motion to pay the bills?
Make a motion. Aye. Second. Shoemaker.
Khan.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Hoppy. Aye. Hofstadter.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Thank you. Chief?
Yes, sir. Just let council know that both the two new employees are started. They're in training. Both seem to be doing pretty good, so hopefully we can get them going, rolling out. Right now the biggest issue is getting uniforms because they're smaller size, so trying to get some uniforms for them so whenever they are, Caleb goes out on the street, he'll be able to uniform just like everybody else. And another thing, I just got an email this afternoon from OCJS. It'd be a reference to their body cam grant. So I'm going to be checking into that, see what we can do for, possibly getting a grant towards purchasing the body cams. I don't know any time frames or anything. They just kind of sent out a FYI email, and I'll go from there. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Lee?
All right, Design Review Board and Planning and Zoning Commission will both meet next Wednesday, the 1st. Design Review Board will review a certificate of appropriateness for window, door, and awning placement of bags. The 70 East Jackson building would be the west building of the two. And then Planning and Zoning will meet at 6:30 to review a variance for a proposed horse bike shelter at Save and Serve in their south parking lot, setback variance request. Mid-Ohio is done with all the concrete at this point. Still have to come in and backfill around all the sidewalks and seed those disturbed areas, and they'll be wrapped up. Airport Park, this asphalt is down, it's curing. They did come in and set the bases, the concrete bases for the net posts, divider posts, and fence. I think, what was it, 14
14
to
to
21 day cure time, so we're getting towards the end of that. So hopefully before too long, if material's available, which they warned me about, they've been having issues getting material like virtually everyone else in the world right now, doesn't matter what industry you're in. Get them moving on that and hopefully wrap it up soon. The ODOT salt contract was awarded. Cargill got Holmes County, or District 11. This year, price is $58.62 a ton, and we did commit to 200 tons. It's a 90% to 110% commitment, so we can buy 90% of that 200 or up to 110% still being contract, similar to every other year. Should have got a copy of a map showing proposed monitoring well location up at 111 East Jackson, the former BP. This would be for 3 wells on two in East Jackson Street, and one in the parking lot, our parking lot, over across the street. I look back, I was thinking we've done this before, and we have. At that time, we just had council review the proposed locations and let us know if they were okay with those monitoring wells coming in. They did that. They did award or allow that to happen. I'm sorry, I can't find that email right now. I apologize. There's no issues with the monitoring wells that are already in location. These would be like 40 feet deep, 8-inch casing. They go in and sample the soil to see if there, whatever leakage there was from the underground storage tanks, they can track how far it's going. So these monitoring wells start close to the property and keep bumping out. So, and I believe it's a lifelong endeavor that they keep monitoring this until they get X amount of clear samples. So, we would need your permission to allow this since it's on our property in our right of way, if you do want to allow this to happen.
We get an indication how long it's gonna take them to drill since we're gonna be on Jackson Street. I thought when they did Monroe, they were there for like a week.
It's a long time.
Which,
They
doing
did
it on Jackson Street.
multiple wells on Monroe. I'm trying to remember how many there are. I don't know, I could ask them, I'm not sure exactly how long they're proposing.
If you can imagine setting up on Jackson Street for
Right.
a week.
Traffic will be way worse than it
There
is.
it is.
Are they still monitoring the wells on Monroe?
They are.
Yeah.
They monitor all the wells. There are, these would be wells 13, 14, and 15. That gives you an indication they've got 12 existing. I do not have a time for, I could ask them that. You'd like me to?
There's no expense to the village.
No.
Is there?
Maybe check whether see they'd be willing to do some real early or late evening work. Or they're not in town prime time of the day.
Okay.
Do you need a motion for that?
If you'd rather I report back, that's
Yeah.
fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'll ask them how much time they think they'd be on the streets and then if they'd be willing to work off peak hours. And I'll report back. Source One, you should have also got a whole packet of information from Source One. Both Karen's, Chief Shaner and I met with Carol from Source One last week. Like, you guys consider allowing us to enroll with them. If you look through your information, so there's an employee assistance program that there's a couple options. If an employee is having issues at work, we can refer them to this service for, different counseling and help with whatever the issues may be. It can be anything from work-life balance to financial to marital to whatever, drug and alcohol issues, whatever the case is. Or the employees, if we enroll with them, would be able to, for themselves and their dependents, call up if they're needing somebody to talk to. They, depending on the plan you select, you can have a 3, 6, or 9 meetings per year with this service. We've used them previously outside of contract, an issue or an employee that was having some work-related anxieties, stresses. So Chief Shaner contacted them, and it was very beneficial for the employee. So that's kind of what brought this on. We met with them and then decided we'd come to you guys. So there's the 3 plans. The Source One, the basic, you should have those sheets. Basic is the 3 3 meetings per year, on-site supervisory training, employee orientation, some handouts and flyers and postings and things that could be placed around. That price is $1.75 per employee per month. Then step 2, it bumps up your services. For a 1-year agreement, would be $2 per employee per month. Step 3, or option 3, is $4 per employee per month for a 1-year agreement. What we talked about, we kind of think the middle option would be a good starting point. Just a 1 year, try it out, see if it's well utilized. It'd be around $1,000 a year.
Yeah, a little less
I
than
think,
a
a little
thousand
under
for
$1,000 per.
each employee that's eligible for healthcare and part-time employees. I think it's an excellent benefit for the cost. You know.
I know a lot of private employers that offer this same service.
And I believe, did she say the sheriff's department and the county both
Yeah.
use this company?
Would we, like, I don't want to necessarily know what they're calling for, but at the end of that year, would we be able to say, okay, well, 15 employees
Yeah.
utilize this service, X
Or
number of,
family members.
you know, X number of people utilize, and that way we would have an idea of
The use.
how it's benefiting.
I believe she talked about quarterly reports, or
Reporting, yeah.
semi-annual reports we get.
I think however
X
we
amount of people.
determine we need it,
Yeah.
But basically, it's just,
obviously no information,
Anonymous.
Right.
but,
But then you
It's
just
just
know
that.
numbers.
right. But as an example, like Nate had explained that we did have one employee that, we felt needed to go for counseling, related to his job, and it's $125 per session. So if you go 3 times, you're pretty much already close to what we would pay for everybody for the year. So,
Am I right in reading this that if they determine you need more, they can hook you up to an actual counseling center?
right.
Okay.
And at that point, if I understood it right, that would not be included in this contract.
Right, that's
But
on
they
their
could
health
turn them in their
insurance.
health insurance, correct?
Where would the employees have to go? As far as one.
Worcester, right,
Worcester.
she said they're here
Yeah.
once a month,
They have no preferred location, they can be here.
and I guess it would depend on the urgency, if you need to go tomorrow, you go to Worcester, you know, if they're not here.
I'll make a motion to move with the second, middle plan.
Middle plan,
Yeah.
1 year.
1 year, then evaluate it and see if we need to bump it up or not. Can we change plans if we see that it's being used at
This
any
is
time?
just a year contract, so
Yeah.
after that year, we can.
Yeah, there's a pretty standard 30-day notification that
Notice.
once you do, will change things.
Second, Coleman. Levon.
Aye.
Poland. Aye. Coffee.
Aye.
Hofstadter.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Con.
Aye.
I don't know if sorry, I should have kind of missed it, I think. We were envisioning all employees that are eligible, maybe you mentioned it, for healthcare plus
Healthcare,
part-time.
plus part-time.
Yeah,
Part-time, okay.
that was my
That's what-
intention, is
yeah.
everybody here?
Okay. Sorry. I did receive one quote for our audio video system in here. I'm waiting, I have a meeting tomorrow with another company to come up with a quote to give us a better system for recording and broadcasting these meetings. I'll get back to you once we know what those prices are for sure. The only other thing I got 2 items for executive session under personnel and acquisition of property, and I'd like to ask that we allow Pat Meller to stay for the personnel portion of it.
Karen, Bob, okay, the housing stuff. Alright, moving on to reading of legislation. Third reading of ordinance 2021-106 by title only. an ordinance amending zoning map, zone territory of the village of Millersburg. This pertains to the Grandview Property Holdings property located at Still and Cary. Zoning request is from R3 to special use for just a little under 4 acres. We have discussion.
Maybe I better speak up at this point. This has been, around for a while. I apologize for not recognizing this earlier. And Bob Shoemaker lives right across the street from the proposed project, and then Tom's son and family live at the end of the street. So it wasn't on my radar screen that could possibly be a conflict of interest. I checked with the Ethics Commission this afternoon. They wouldn't give me an opinion because it takes like 45 days to get a written opinion. But the attorney did send me research material that I read over literally 5 minutes before I came to Millersburg tonight. And it's pretty definite that Bob cannot vote on this tonight because it's a conflict of interest. Now what he can do, if he wants to, is to go into the audience and speak as a citizen, but he can't vote. And in fact, I told him he can't even abstain because technically that's a vote. So he just has to remove himself. Then Tom, 30 seconds before we came in here, brought this up about his son living there, right on the corner of Still Street in Maxwell. Yeah. Okay. And same thing would apply now. His is more remote because it's not him. It's his son and family. And I probably could do some research to know for sure if it would apply in Tom's situation, but I'm not going to give that advice on the fly just because I was surprised about what I learned this afternoon from the Ethics Commission, and I don't want to be surprised again. So I'm advising Tom that he also should not participate in the vote on this particular issue. So we're down to 4 council. Any discussion too. If part of the discussion is, members from the audience discussing, then they can get out in the audience and discuss as a person, as a resident of Millersburg, but not as far as the council discussion is concerned. Any questions?
Got one here.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Gabriel O'Brien. I live next door to Kyle. Right over there on 938 Maxwell. Yesterday was the first time I'd heard about this project. Someone left a handy map and a note on our door. It was the first time as a resident I'd heard it existed. So I came down to try and maybe get some more details, as our family lives right there, and this looks like a lot of units going in probably right up against our property line. So I wanted to potentially get some more info about what all is going in and how much traffic we're going to expect on what's a pretty small street, and things like that.
Phase 1 of this development is a total of 18 units. Is that correct?
There are 17 or 18.
And that's phase 1 of this project, and that's all we're discussing tonight, is just
Sure.
zoning of this. We can give you a packet of information that was submitted to us from the builder and everything they're proposing. I know that one of your neighbors in the area, I submitted all that information to them 4 weeks ago. I was under the impression they were going to hand that out in the neighborhood. This has been discussed now for going on 6 weeks.
Sure. I guess
I understand.
I guess that was them handing it out. It was left on our door last night. So that was the first I'd heard of it and don't know anything about it. So I was just curious.
I guess, are you opposed or in favor of this?
I don't know,
You don't.
to be honest, because I don't know anything about it. I'll say I try to always be open-minded. Am I potentially concerned? Sure. I mean, I guess I would be about anything, but I just don't know much about it right now. Based on the little map that they had and what they wrote down for the potential units, it sounds like a potential of 132 units, which is a lot of extra cars and things. So, and I have 2 small kids, so construction and extra people, I mean, house value, stuff like that is always, of course I'm concerned, but for or against, I have no idea. I don't have much information, so.
And now these are not to be, owner occupied, they're building these always rental units,
Sure.
higher end, $1,200 approximately is what they're targeting. I believe part of the development, I can't speak for planning and zoning, I think we would require the carry to still be upgraded going into that development. That's something for them to decide at the next meeting. So, thank you for your input. Does anyone else have
And
anything?
just so he's aware, this is not approving the building of it,
Sure.
it's just zoning change.
Yeah.
Strictly zoning change.
I appreciate
Building
that.
is all.
And if you have a packet or something that I can look at some point, that'd be awesome. Unrelated, by the way, the audio video thing, that's what I do. So if you
Oh,
have
really?
questions, I'm a professional cinematographer and audio engineer, so hit me up after the meeting and I can help you with that.
Do you leave a number or something?
Yeah, that's what I do for a living. So.
I'm 100% illiterate.
Oh, I'm your guy. Yeah, hit me up. We'll talk after. I'm your guy.
Thank you.
Or sign in on the sheet outside with your number.
Sure.
Because we have executive session, so.
Oh, rad. Yeah,
you guys will-
happy to help anytime people have questions like that.
So you're positive that this is high-end?
Can you please state your name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry, Linda McCombs.
Thank you.
You said that this would be a higher-end rentals, so
That-
there
that's-
won't be any, what do I wanna say, like what they have at,
Like low income housing?
yes.
Subsidized?
No. That's not, they're telling us that's not what they're doing.
Monty King is here from the developers with Stenwood. He's here to
So,
get questions.
all the units, right now in phase 1 will be duplexes. And, cost of the duplexes are gonna be somewhere close to $200,000 to $250,000. And, rental is gonna be, I'm gonna say 1,200 and plus for those as we,
I wouldn't be living there. I couldn't
so,
afford
with the streets, that, to follow the village, they're, bigger than what, they, right now have in carry and sill that goes in. The property, in phase 1 is to get started, and then with phase 2 and 3, those units, will be, almost tiered because of the way the land is. So you'll have, tenants that come in from the bottom that have half of a unit, which would almost be like a 4-story, similar to what we're building in Berlin right now. With that, everything, streets, roads and all that would be private, and we would maintain and take care of that.
Well, it just concerns I have grandsons,
Mhm.
and it just concerns me, and there's a lot of children. I live in between Sill and Cary, and there's a lot of children on Maxwell, and it worries me, because, well, sometimes we have a problem with people who don't understand what 25 miles an hour is. They go zooming through there all the time, but that's what concerns me, the kids.
Would those streets have to be widened or changed in any way?
Right, what were you talking about?
Say Sill.
Sill and
Maxwell,
Perry.
for instance.
Well, that's
Perry
up
Street.
to discussion that I just heard, this week, that planning commission, is talking about maybe having us upgrade that street.
Would taking our property.
Yeah, if they're gonna light it, you'd have to take some big, you'd be taking property.
No, that's, it's called right of way,
Yeah, it would all be in the right of way. There wouldn't be any taking.
no property taken.
And both of those, I think, are 50-foot streets, right?
Yes,
Right of way.
50-foot right of way.
So right now, the streets are 18-foot-ish.
18-ish, yeah, actual pavement width.
Yes.
Yeah.
And our proposed are 25, which follows the village standard.
So this will be increasing traffic, which means these streets will be really busy.
Yeah, that would be one of the big questions I have also, just because of
Yeah,
83 getting out there is tricky on a good day, especially with, you know, the construction we have lately. If you add, you know,
more vehicles coming in and out.
yeah, average people have 2 vehicles in a home. You know, a married couple would have 2 vehicles in a home. So you're talking about potentially adding a lot of vehicles going in and out
Yeah.
every day. With kids that, I mean, my kids and I ride our bikes up and down the street, and just again getting in and out of the neighborhood. That's kind of a potential point of concern, I guess.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
I'm Jack Davis, and I went around the neighborhood passing out these things, and I talked to maybe 20, 25 of our neighbors in the neighborhood, and not one of them is behind this. They're all worried about their children, they're worried about the traffic, they're just worried. You know, they have no problem leaving this day in this zoning as it is for single family. With putting multi-family, they just don't want nothing to do with it.
Thank you. Anyone else have comments? Council, do you have any discussion? If not,
I have a couple questions. There's gonna be traffic with single family units. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I raised 2 kids, I get it. There's, no matter who builds back there, there's gonna be more traffic.
Yes, but on a lesser amount, you're talking that many acres, you ain't gonna put that many houses down there on single families. So you're gonna get more traffic, but you ain't gonna go crazy like you're planning on now. Right now, it's gonna be like a zoo up in there. And I don't know. I mean, I can see it. When you're looking at 100, how many units? 130?
132 total.
You time that by 2 to 3 people, they have kids, you don't know who has kids. A day going in and out of there,
All times of day
instead
and
of
night.
maybe 6 or 7, 8, 10 families, you're talking a really, really big difference. And like I said, I got kids on my street all the time, and I feel safe with them right now, but I wouldn't feel safe if you guys go through this. And I speak for quite a few people in the neighborhood.
Nate, what would be the possibility of putting a traffic light on 83? I mean, the reason I say that is because, you know, I think everybody knows I live in Worcester, and they put in that new shopping center, so to speak, north of Ripple Road, which is just south of the Worcester Northern Worcester line. And my wife especially she was so against it. We circulated petitions. I can't tell you how many hours I wasted. But anyway, one thing they did is they put a traffic light there, and I have to admit, and I wouldn't say this if my wife were here, but I haven't noticed
I also see Kevin like.
the traffic has not been a problem, but I know it's because of that traffic light that lets the traffic out of the shopping center. Without that, I think there would be an issue getting out on Route 3.
I got another, a traffic light ain't gonna eliminate the amount of people going down in there. They're still gonna be going down.
I agree, but, and I'm not saying that's the be-all end-all of, the solution, but I know what you're talking about, because if I'm not mistaken, is that Cary Street that goes up to 83?
Well, both do. Cary
Silver
is,
and Cary both.
they're both very short streets too.
Yeah, but to get out, especially if you're gonna take a left-hand turn, there, I don't know.
Yeah, it's manageable now, we can do it.
No, I
If
mean,
you
that's
do
why
this,
you
we
want
ain't gonna be
traffic
able to
light.
do it, even with a traffic light, it's not gonna change.
It's just gonna back everything up is what it's gonna do. Especially people, certain times when people are coming and going from work.
Or school buses come through.
Yeah, and then you got the school buses, think about it.
Well, I might agree with putting the stoplight up now, but I didn't agree with putting all these houses back in there.
Yeah.
Just off the cuff, my first reaction would be that Cary Street would be the more appropriate place to put a light. With, yeah, you got the Hospital Drive and Woodland Drive right across from it. It's pretty tricky, you don't know who all's coming and going and which direction they're gonna go, they don't always signal their intent.
What? People don't signal. Never experienced that.
And Sill Street, I'm just, from memory, there's a lot of grade there coming from the north. The traffic light would be pretty tricky to deal with. You'd have a short sight distance, somebody coming in from the north, if the light's red, they need to stop. I think you'd have some potential blind incline there. Plus, I don't think we want any trucks trying to start on from Sill Street to go further north if they get stopped at the light. So I think Cary would be the more appropriate place for it. The basic process, from my understanding, we've not put in a new signal, a complete intersection in my time here, but we did add the fourth leg at Glen Drive. From the same westbound, or eastbound traffic coming out of the west. We had it engineered, sent it to ODOT, they reviewed it, gave their blessing, and it was installed. I mean, that's the basic process, it takes,
Right.
it's a little more involved than that, but that's the,
And I would expect the developer to pay for that.
I would agree, I mean, I don't, if something is no different than street improvements or utilities, they're the ones developing, that's usually how it goes.
Nate, will any future phases have to come back to either planning and zoning or
Yeah.
council?
Yeah, so the only thing that this ordinance is changing is the zoning on phase one.
Okay,
So everything else is gonna come back through this process again.
okay.
And phase one is 18 units.
Correct.
18 buildings,
Yeah.
18
or
units.
17 buildings, 34 units, or whatever it is. So it's, by approving it, we're not giving,
100.
Right.
approval to 100 and some units, we're giving approval to 32 or 34, whatever that is.
Might I ask, when the proposed start date to construction and all that would be, should this go through?
It'd be soon.
Okay.
Can I ask what the benefits are gonna be of this, cause it's, ain't no benefit to me, so somebody's gotta be benefiting.
Well, I have a question about that for Bob Shoemaker, the village resident. Because after our last meeting, Bob urged us at our last meeting to not vote for this.
Yeah, Bob,
If you're gonna.
if you're gonna
Okay.
be a citizen, you gotta sit with the citizens. But
Okay. Bob, you can sit with citizens, so I can ask you questions.
just to read the line.
I'm sorry, this is.
You can get him a step stool or something over there.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm sorry, Bob. It's okay. So, after our last meeting, you urged us to not vote for this because of the traffic, because of all the concerns that we're hearing here. And I guess I was really confused because for the last many months, you've been urging us to build on buildable lots and that you want growth in Millersburg and that you want people to come to Millersburg, and now you wanna stop that, and I guess I'm having a problem with is it because it's in your neighborhood?
No,
Or is it, I mean, you've been wanting building, and I guess I'm just confused as to where your thought process is.
my thought process, and always has been, we need single-family starter homes. That's for the young people that they can afford it. You know, what are they gonna pay, $500-600 a month in a mortgage payment compared to $1,200 a month in rent? You know, things like that. Single family starter homes, that's my goal.
I would, my comment to that would be, if you look at today's housing market, and whether you build or try to buy, a $1,200 a month mortgage would be pretty darn cheap in today's market.
It is.
And what I see with this is, you have smaller units where older residents want to downsize to the smaller unit, get away from maintenance and upkeep of a home, which then that opens up homes for families to purchase. Yeah, to me, that's another way to look at it.
Yeah, but that's why we wanna keep it single family zone, cause you're not gonna get the traffic. You know, you're still gonna open up housing, people are gonna be able to go in and other people be able to move in. I don't know why you have to make such a drastic move all at once. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. You know, if you wanna upkeep, you know, repave my road, you know, do sidewalks, whatever you want. If you want up things to make it look nicer, go ahead, but don't bring in that many units in a nice small town neighborhood. You know, maybe you can find someplace downtown here, you know, you can build a duplex or something down into the, you know, a city part of the town. This ain't the city part of the town up here. These are single families with kids and grandkids, and they want to feel safe when their kids are out on the street. And you ain't gonna have that, and there's nothing you can say is gonna change my mind, because there ain't no way you're gonna be able to police everybody in and out of there, day and night. It's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen, and you guys know it's gonna happen. So it's really about the matter of our safety of our kids.
I had a question for Bob.
Can I answer these questions on how here?
As a citizen.
Okay.
Go ahead. Oh, if you needed to answer him, go right ahead.
Oh, well, you asked me something, Jack?
Hmm?
No, you wasn't.
I just, apparently we're neighbors. Good to know. Hi. The folks that, if I'm reading this kind of map right, there are a lot of existing properties, or a lot of existing homes there. Are those being like cleared away? I live on Maxwell, so it looks to me.
There's nothing back there.
Okay, so this is one, like another street back, not up against.
Right, there was a street that was platted many, many years ago called Mayor's Avenue.
Okay,
It was never developed.
okay. So it's farther back than.
Yeah, here's Maxwell, and then behind Maxwell is Furlow.
Yeah.
Am I pronouncing
Right.
that
So the
right?
next one
And
beyond
then
that.
back behind there is where they hauled out
I
thousands
apologize
of trees.
for coming late to the party. I just
Yeah.
wasn't sure of where everything fits.
Yeah, they hauled
Now,
out trees like crazy.
I don't disagree with your point about needing more affordable homes. I mean, homes in Holmes County are considerably more expensive because land is so valuable here. You know, if we wanted to move in the last year, it would be hard. You know, just everything here is, you know, $300,000 to $600,000 if you want anything and you have kids, and that's, you know, it's a lot more expensive than if you lived in Wayne County. Me, I'd rather keep my family here. It's where my family is. But so I mean, I definitely understand and respond to that point. You know, it's having affordable housing for families that want to come to Holmes County. It's really hard to find a house if you've got 2 kids, right? And it has been for a few years. Not obviously right now things are nuts, but I'm assuming that'll calm down. But in general, affordable, you know, single family homes are kind of tough.
Yeah. I just feel, you know, people are gonna be more vested when they own their own home.
Sure.
Rentals are transient, you know, so are they gonna invest themselves in Millersburg or whatever?
And I would agree. I know there are plenty of people that want to downsize, but we also have had a lot of condo developments going up in and around Glen Drive and up around that area. There's been a lot of new condo developments and out towards Berlin too, so it doesn't seem like there's a shortage of those either.
Okay. Do we have any other discussion from council?
Well, Kelly, to go back to your point about us having been discussing developments for years, I mean, unfortunately, we are very much hamstrung by the geography of the town, that there isn't
Right.
a lot of good places to put one. And so, as you said, no matter where it goes, no matter what kind of housing it is, whether it's there or someplace else, it's going to affect the neighbors.
Right.
You can't
Well,
avoid
and
that.
not just the neighbors, it's gonna affect the entire town. We already have a traffic problem in town.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's another.
try
thing.
getting through the
Traffic
square at noon or 3 o'clock. It's a parking lot clear down in front of my house. I can't even get out of my own driveway. So, adding more onto that, but it doesn't matter where it goes, that's going to add, but that is what's going to happen. I mean, I know that, the area where Brad lives, they built a house and sold it. Well, that has gone through phase 1 and then building phase 2 and then building, that has gone through lots of building process as well. And he used to have a cornfield, right?
If I can piggyback up on that, I came from Kellbach back in 2010, and my wife and I bought a house in Meadow Glen, and I was butt up against cornfield, and I understand your concerns, I really do, and I can relate to a point because I saw the deer, I saw the turkey, I still see the deer, I still see the turkey, but there were a lot of people in the neighborhood at the time that were skeptical that, phase 2 will never happen. And so about 9 years later, it did. And so naturally, my concern was, who are my neighbors gonna be? And before I knew it, we went from owning a home of 16 homes in the development. And by this time next year, actually before this time next year, the number of homes will double in that development. And I have embraced it. It took me some time, but I embraced it. The traffic flow is much heavier than it was. There are some people that have multiple kids driving, and we've just adapted to that. I see a developer that has come to the village of Millersburg and said, and is saying, I would like to see this village grow, and this is how I want to see it grow. And I'm trying to embrace that. I think it's a good thing for the village of Millersburg. And I know that we're going to have traffic issues, and I think we're always going to have those issues that we're going to have to go back, we're going to have to look at from time to time. Having traffic issues is a blessing to me. It truly is, because I wouldn't want the opposite of that. I want to see Millersburg grow. I think the census is close to 3,200 people in the village of Millersburg. And I believe that the highest it has ever been was 3,300 back in 2000. So over 20 years ago, we had more people living in the village of Millersburg than we do now. So I see growth, and I'm excited about that. And I think that creates new challenges for us too. And we need to embrace those challenges, we need to do something about it. So that's all I have to say, but I understand your concern because I've been there. And it's a different neighborhood, it's a different street, but again, the population where I came from and where it is today will double next year. There are 29 homes right now, there's a 30th one being built, and there's probably 3 or 4 more that are gonna be built here in the next year. I'm excited about that.
If I could just comment, so I've been here for 24 years. When we built the sewer plant, there was a study done. The study showed that by this time, that the population of Millersburg would skyrocket. Here we are, 20-some years later, and if anything, we've gone down in population. So there's something not happening in Millersburg. So I'm not speaking to this particular, subdivision, but geography plays a big part in Millersburg. There are not very many places where you can build. And this might not be the best place in the world to have structures built, but that's what you got, that's what you got.
Why is the big push on getting bigger? What's the benefits of getting bigger? All it does, it causes more problems.
I think when you have more people coming into your community, that they're investing in your community, that's how I look at it. The people that are moving into the village of Millersburg, they're making a big investment. They made a big investment when they moved into Meadow Glen. They bought a house, they paid a hefty price for it. They're also investing in the village by dining in the village and shopping in the village, and that's tax revenue for the village of Millersburg. So
we're
that's a
choosing
piece of it.
money for Millersburg over safety for our kids, and
Well,
it comes down to.
let me just speak to this. And I don't know anything about your personal life, but I'm sure you have children and maybe grandchildren, I don't know. But if you want your children and grandchildren to want to live in Millersburg, you've gotta keep growing. You can't just be a
Why?
stagnant community.
Why? I go shopping in Worcester, I go shopping in Berlin, I go shopping here. I go shopping all over. So it's not a
Statistics are
location
kids-
thing,
kids usually don't stay.
it comes down to who's making money, and our kids are gonna pay the price for it. I mean, it's just the way I feel. I mean, I think this town's plenty big. You could probably use some more shops downtown, maybe, I don't know. But, I mean, there's plenty of places to go shop. We go to Mansfield, we go to Canton, we go all over the place. I mean, it's part of,
You do have to protect your children, no doubt that.
yeah, I mean,
But you also have to make Millersburg a good place where your children want to live.
right, that's what I'm trying to do. They're gonna wanna live in a safe, small town, not a big, they don't wanna, I mean, we came here because of the small town. If I wanted to live in a big town, I would've went to Worcester, Canton, Cleveland. I don't want that crap. I want a small town with good people in it. It's really simple, but nobody seems to get that concept. They just think money, money, get more people in here, more business, more money. It's all you care about is money.
How do you think this village runs, sir?
Hmm?
How do you think this village runs?
Well, it's running fine now.
Well, what I'm saying is run by tax revenue.
Right, I'm paying my taxes, and everybody else in here is paying their taxes.
I understand that.
And everything's going fine. But you just gotta get, if you get bigger, you're gonna need more money. The more money, the bigger, the more money. It's all money, 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 nothing about the town and the people in it. People in Millersburg like this small town, that's why we live here.
All right, I appreciate your comments.
Gonna say one more thing?
Yes.
If you guys want this, why don't you move into a bigger town?
Sir,
You
I'm
know?
not going to answer that. But here's what, I'm gonna make one more comment in regards to something you said earlier, and I'm gonna ask council to vote. You made a statement that you went around your entire neighborhood, and no one is in favor of this, correct? My question is, where are they?
They're hard-working
Some of them
families.
are-
No, what I'm saying is, you went to 20-some.
Yeah, let me finish. The only reason I'm here, I'm retired. I don't have a damn thing to do. So I come down here because those people are working, they got kids to take care of. So don't think that they don't like it just because they didn't show up.
I'm not, but
I mean, you're the one that brought up the question.
I did.
Right, and I just answered it, now you don't want to hear it.
But also, 4 weeks ago, I sat here, I made a statement. I believe you were here.
Yeah.
Anyone that's got any questions about anything, please pick up the phone, contact anyone at this office or an elected official and ask the questions. I got one phone call. I submitted this packet of information to that resident, which, sir, this is for you,
Oh, thank you.
okay? And I was under the impression this resident was gonna go around, distribute this, let everyone look at the plan. In all honesty, I expected more people here 2 weeks ago when we had second reading of this. No one showed up.
People are just too busy with their lives,
That's fine.
you know?
So-
This is the first I knew of it. This is the first I knew of it.
Yeah, that's
And
true for me also.
We walked
but
around, we
it's-
walked around yesterday and
Yeah.
took those
Yeah.
around, but we're
Those
the ones that passed those out.
By our own ordinance, anyone within a 250-foot radius of any zone change would have received a letter from this office stating that that property is gonna be rezoned.
We never got a letter.
That didn't
happen. Not to me.
If you're within the radius.
If you're within 250 feet. So, thank you everyone for your comments. I appreciate all your feedback. I'm gonna ask council now to vote whether to rezone this property and send it to planning and zoning for this process to move forward. Do we have a vote?
I'll make a motion to approve the rezoning.
I'll second that.
2021-106.
Yes.
Hofstadter,
Aye.
Con,
Aye.
Vaughn,
I can't vote.
oh, sorry,
No.
I knew that. Hoppy,
Aye.
Olin,
With that vote, this motion passes to rezone approximately 4 acres from R3 to special use. From here, we'll go to planning and zoning, which I believe will be next Wednesday, correct? We'll go ahead and get this- Okay,
They're still working on the plan.
okay. I appreciate everyone's time and comments during this process.
Do you have any more of those?
We can get you some copies.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes,
This will go to planning and zoning and then it will come back here to us. No? It
The
goes,
construction plans, that will.
that's just,
Planning
them.
approves that.
so my suggestion, go to planning and zoning board meeting.
Don't know when
When
it'll
is
be
that?
yet, though.
Yeah,
It's not scheduled yet.
but it's the first Wednesday of every month at 6:30.
Here?
Yes. If you guys have signed in on the sign-up sheet with your name and address, we will make sure that whoever's on that sign-up sheet gets notification of that meeting by letter. Thank you. Moving on to third reading, ordinance 2021-107 by title only. An ordinance amending zoning. Oh, yeah.
They've tried.
Bob, come on back.
Sorry about that. All right, we'll have third reading of ordinance 2021-107 by title only. An ordinance amending zoning map, zone territory of the village of Millburn. This ordinance is to rezone the former Castle Nursing Home on 241 from B1 to special use district. Are there any questions? Hearing none, may we have a motion to pass?
So, apostrophe after the. Good.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Olin, Hoppy,
Aye.
Shoemaker,
Aye.
Con,
Aye.
Hofstadter.
Aye.
Thank you. First reading ordinance 2021-108 by title only. An ordinance amending section 929.16, paragraph H of the sewer ordinances. Are there any questions?
We should point out that's not an increase.
That is not an increase to the residents. This is strictly on the sewer use ordinance, not sewer septic receiving.
Septic procedure.
Where the village takes in septic from outside haulers and treat it, we charge them for that process. Emergency resolution 2021-25 by title only. Emergency resolution authorizing the village administrator to file a petition to the court for forfeiture of real estate to the village. Yeah, okay, this one here, this is that.
No, why? It's up to them, but I need to explain.
All right, so I read the title, we're gonna let Bob explain this process before we move on to the suspending of the second, third reading.
Okay, Karen received a notice, 9 days ago. that there was a tax foreclosure that occurred in Common Pleas Court, and the foreclosure was granted. The property went up for sale on 2 different occasions, did not receive any bids, and it's a property up here on South Crawford Street. So this is a first. As I mentioned before, I've been here 24 years, and it's a first for us that this has ever come up. And the notice we got said that if we wanted the property, that we would have to file a notice with Common Pleas Court that we wanted it, and we get it. Well, it also said that West Holmes School District could also claim the property. So I called West Holmes to see if they were interested. They were not interested. So then I checked. They said, well, I called the prosecutor's office. I said, this is a first for us. Do we have to pay the back taxes in order to get this property? I didn't talk to the prosecuting attorney. I talked to his assistant. She said, no, you get it free and clear. It's like, okay, well, the property is appraised at like $10,000, and the taxes are due. They're about $3,200. So I said, well, if you can get a $10,000 piece of property for free, why not? It sounds like that's in the best interest of the village. Well, since then, I found out that the village would have to pay the back taxes. So we'd have to pay $3,200. Now, then you're talking about, is it worth it or not? I don't know. It's up to you guys. The thing is, it's gone up for sale twice. Didn't even get a bidder. Is it really worth $3,200? So then I looked into what is the process after this, what happens, because the statute says it goes to the state. So I thought, well, we really don't want the state to own this property because they may or may not do anything with it, and it'll just sit there accumulating taxes and not be productive. But then I found out that the process is it goes back to the auditor then puts it up for sale again, and if they don't, the minimum bid has to be for taxes and penalties and litigation costs, the whole 9 yards. And if they don't get a bid there, then the auditor can put it up for sale for any amount. It could be for a penny. So perhaps there's another way to get it in somebody's name who will pay the taxes and make it a productive piece of property for the village, so that we don't have to expend the money, because we would be taking a chance. So initially I was all for we should do this. Now, not so much, but I don't have a vote, so it's up to you guys.
Did any council members have a chance to look at this property, see where it is?
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything we want to.
Thank you so much.
To acquire.
Well, and what's interesting is when you look at it, it's kind of the back corner chunk of an existing lot. And the ownership between that and the front lot, front part of it, are 2 different ownerships, but the tax mailing address is identical between the 2. Is the front one in foreclosure too?
There's 2 parcels that are.
Well, this is the one that this kind of fronts on Blackbird Alley. The one that it's the back chunk of fronts on South Crawford Street.
I don't know the answer to that.
And the Crawford one is the same tax mailing address, like it should be the same owner. So I was just curious if that is in the process of being foreclosed on too, because if they can't pay the taxes on one, you wouldn't think they'd be paying the taxes on the other either.
Well, they were never able to locate the owner,
Okay,
so it's presumed that, they're deceased.
okay.
And, that the prosecutor did all the homework and published it in the newspaper, and like you're supposed to do.
Which is odd then, because the front one has paid their taxes. Even this year, they paid their taxes, so if they're the same tax mailing address, I would think they'd be the same ownership, but
They're not the same though.
they're not. There's that P.O. Box 140 in Berlin.
That's the L-shaped piece.
Right, but the back one, isn't that?
The piece we're talking about?
Yeah, what is the mailing address of that one?
There's it's W.M. Beachy, last known owner.
And doesn't it say somewhere in the description, last known address, P.O. Box 140 or something? So I wonder if that's actually valid, or if that's just a
I think that's just a,
carryover from something,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, cause this goes back years, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah, it's been accumulated, taxes have been paid for quite a while.
I agree with you, Bob, if somebody's willing to spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 and do something with it, then I would much rather have that happen than the village own that piece of property.
And the adjoining landowner would be the logical person to take it, so maybe that'll happen.
looks like 1949 was the last time something happened with it.
That could be, a lot split could be done on that too, right, between property owners, so they have
Yes.
larger
It could,
rights.
yeah, you could buy it.
Alright, so this time we won't, I guess I rescind the first reading of that ordinance. Committee reports. Old business.
Nate, thank you for the pavement markings on, Pat, thank you for the pavement markings on West Adams and various other places.
Oh, yes,
Hopefully that will
that's-
stop the wrong way traffic.
Yeah.
New business.
I have a couple things for new business. So I'm hearing a lot of rumors about a streetscape that we've never talked about.
Streetscape.
Yes. HDM has said that the Village of Millersburg is doing a streetscape next year.
Huh.
Oh, lights.
Okay, well, okay.
Yeah,
A lights is way different than a streetscape, so I'm just
I agree.
clearing the air
Yeah.
for everyone that lights is completely different than us hiring someone to do a streetscape in downtown.
Right, I mean, the lights we talked about,
We've
they're,
talked about
they're in the
multiple
budget,
times.
but you know, whatever appropriation. Because I believe that when and if we get to a streetscape, first project of that is gonna be storm sewer through the downtown. Then we pretty it up once we.
Once
finish
you
that project.
fix what's underneath. Right, right. Okay,
Install what isn't underneath, there's no storm sewer, virtually, anywhere in downtown.
so yeah, that'll all
Yeah.
underneath needs fixed
Yeah.
before we make it pretty. So I just wanted to everybody be on the same page with that. Also, Nate, you may want to tell them, it would be really nice if as soon as Vintage in the Village is done on August the 7th, we could maybe take that sign down and put up what's up next.
Oh,
Because we are August 23rd and it's still Vintage in the Village, August 7th. And I think people should be looking forward, not looking behind. So the other thing is there are a lot of businesses in the downtown that are struggling, a lot that are struggling. They all had to close down because of COVID, we know that. I just wanna urge people to don't just say that I shop local, don't just use the words. You know, I can say I shop local and all I do is go get my groceries at Rody's, which is great because Rody's is a local business, but that's not me shopping local. That's not me going downtown and going into small businesses and helping those storefront owners. These are the people who give to the 501c3s, who give to our little queens for the Antique Festival when they have their luncheon, who give to the schools, who give to all the local community. They're the people who give. It's not Walmart who gives, it's not the big box stores who give, it's our local business owners, and they give every single day, and I just think that we as a community need to start giving and not giving them lip service, but getting in their stores and spending our money with them, because as local leaders, we need to lead, and leading means getting into our local businesses and spending money, and we've gotta do it. We do not want for rent signs all over our downtown. So, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Any other new business? Not, then we have a motion to go into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of public employee or official. Excuse me. And to consider the purchase or sale of public property of the public interest would be hurt by the premature disclosure of the information.
Second.
Also an acquisition property.
Oh, yes, and request that Pat stays. Thank you.
Poland. Hofstadter.
Aye.
Coffee.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Con. Shoemaker.
Everyone have a good evening.
Some of the action.
Where do we
Like
stay?
Thunderdome?
Okay. If it's important, call me at work tomorrow.